Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Wizard Gamers. I am your Wizard Josh, here as always with Wizard Brian.
Hello.
Brian, how you doing today?
Doing well, man. Doing well.
Awesome.
Ready to get into it.
Awesome. So this week we've had some new news. Obviously, Nintendo has come out with some new bundles and some new content of things that were coming out. That's pretty exciting. Which one caught your eye?
So the two bundles, out of the two bundles that I was most excited for, is going to be the Mario Tennis Aces. Not too crazy about the game, but I feel like it's one that, especially because it's going to be coming out around the holiday season, we're going to see a lot of drive to, go out and try out a game that's going to be more party friendly, rather than just two people. Like with 1-2 Switch as being the other one, it's still multiplayer, but less so.
Right. Right. It was interesting for me that they did Mario Aces with 1-2 Switch, just because for me, 1-2 Switch was one of those games that, like, when I finally got to play it, and we talked about this on one of our previous episodes, was really subpar. That was one of those games that actually changed my mind from the first time of wanting to buy the Switch to not wanting to get it at all. So interesting that was one of the bundles. The other thing that was interesting to me is the choices that they made with Aces and the 1-2 Switch, right? Because we have other great options. We have, you could have went with Mario Odyssey. You could have
say Mario Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart.
Mario
Breath
being
of the
the
Wild.
obvious ones, but still, like Mario Kart would have been that. I think they actually did that with a couple of the past consoles. And,
Yep. Yeah, I know with the Wii U, they actually had the Mario Kart bundle. That's actually the one that I picked up.
Splatoon, or well, I guess they already did Splatoon. Never mind, not Splatoon again. We don't need another one. Thank you, Nintendo.
Right. So yeah. Anyway, it's interesting that is one of the bundles that's coming out. Another one of the options that you have there is the Switch with the Nintendo Labo product, and so you get your choice of the Nintendo Switch, and you can either get the robot one, or you can get the multi-pack with all the other builds on there. So
so you can pick one or the other.
You can pick one or the other out
Nice.
of those two. Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So that was one of those ones that could be a good one for the holidays. I could see that one being a fun one for kids, especially that time you want to spend time with your kids and you're going to get this video game system, then you get to build something. I think that could build a lot of great memories. I think I could see that one being a good one for this holiday season. And then the other one that's going to be coming up that we actually missed when we talked about the Nintendo Direct last week, they had actually announced that they're going to be doing a Smash Brothers bundle as well, and it's going to come with the GameCube controller for the Switch too.
What?
So that one's coming out in February. So that one's going to be coming out 2 months later after that release. So that'll be a little bit later. From there, and forgive us for this, it seems like we've been covering Nintendo quite a lot lately, and Brian actually talked about this before we started recording tonight. It's just Nintendo has been doing so much lately with their Nintendo Directs, with
their big name.
Like we kind of mentioned that.
Not to love on them too much. We do, all three of us, and Charles and Spirit. All three of us have a Switch and really enjoy the system and play it quite a bit. It's not the only reason why we cover Nintendo, though. It is because they're doing so much with their product and with their brand and with everything that they want to do with their systems. I think that it's kind of the people to show off.
Right. I think Nintendo is going to take it away here this holiday season. I think they've been doing a lot of things. I mean, even this last month, they did the McDonald's Happy Meal toys, has all been Nintendo as well. So there's just been so much that they have been doing, whether it's their E3s or their little subtle drops. Because the next thing that I was going to go into is the Diablo content that just got dropped here. So now we are going to get Diablo on
the was it the not Eternal Collection?
Yep, no, it is the Eternal Collection. It is the Eternal Collection.
So you get that extra character, but then was it Ganondorf?
Yep,
is going to be a playable character. Yes. And I am super jazzed to be able to play as Ganondorf and to have a little, and pardon me, I don't know how you people say it, but a cuckoo, the chicken. I want a chicken,
right, as your pet,
as my pet. So.
And that was kind of one of those things too. Is with the Diablo, that game came out, I think, 6 years ago?
Yeah, 6 years.
6 years ago
that was,
is roughly what it was.
2012. So
yeah, because it came out initially on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360.
Yep.
And so then it came out for our next-gen systems.
Right.
And now we're finally getting caught up with the Nintendo Switch. So it's one of those things, like, how do you feel about these ports coming over, Brian? Like for me,
it was kind of the same thing with Skyrim. It's something where I had already played the game and I was already very familiar with it, but it's still, I mean, I don't think it should be that $60 price point. I know a lot of development went into those ports. I know a lot of work and a lot of love went into them.
This one, actually, they said it took 9 months to get it over ported to the Switch, is what I read.
I already have it on 2 other systems. I have it on my 360 and I have it on my Xbox One. So for me, and it was the same thing with Skyrim. I picked up Skyrim pre-owned and ended up selling it maybe 3 weeks after, just because I had already played close to 1,000 hours into that game and just didn't need to do that again. I already got my fill out of it. I got my Master Sword. I got, my shield and everything else for it. And then I was good with Skyrim. And I feel like it's going to be the same thing with playing through Diablo 3 again. My wife and I played through that on Xbox One a while back. And now I'm going to go through, I'm going to play as Ganondorf. I'm going to get my Cucco and I'm going to get my wings. And that's about it.
And for me, I think it's interesting, right? Because I would agree with you on a lot of those points. But, and I played through it on the Xbox One and I absolutely loved it. Thought it was great. One of the things for me that really kind of excited me about this is that I never actually finished it on the Xbox One. When I was playing it, my wife and I were going through it and it just kept freezing up on chapter 4. And there's only 5 chapters, but it would always lock up on chapter 4. I've re-downloaded it, did all that jazz, reinstalled it, everything, but unfortunately never got to go through it. So definitely going to pick it up on the Switch. Very excited to play through it. And I'm also excited just because I know that if there's other new people that are going to be playing through it, I know I've got you, I know Charles will pick it up, and then I know I've got a couple other friends. I'm excited to go through it again and actually hopefully be able to finish it this time. And I know you get all of that downloadable content as well, which was the Necromancer pack. And then there was another one too. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But anyway, you get everything with it. And then they threw in some extra things. I think when you throw in those extra things, it kind of brings a little bit more fun to the game, especially when you add in a new character. That's usually a big portion of it. Like for Skyrim, I know they brought over the Zelda stuff, but that wasn't really enticing enough for me to want to go back through the game and try and find the armor or the sword or the shield or any of that thing. That wasn't enough for me. So having a character, I think, brings a new playable aspect to it. Yeah,
and it does create a new kind of replayability for some of these old IPs. And we're talking about something that's 6, 8, 10 years old. It's hard to give it new life. And when they bring it into a new medium, something that you can also have mobily, which is another reason why I wanted Skyrim, it was that I could bring it to work with me and I could play it on my break and I could kind of revisit those same places. But it was almost more out of curiosity than it was anything else. So we'll see about Diablo. I don't know if I'll pick it up day one. I might wait and see if I can save a few bucks on it first, but we'll see. We'll see.
So leading on to the next thing that we were going to talk about was Spyro got pushed back again. So now we're into November when they're coming with the release date. Now I did see from the developers themselves that they apologized to everybody and said that they just want to make sure that we get a great game and they want to push something out there that isn't buggy, isn't glitchy, and is complete. So I appreciate when developers go through and give us that insight versus just pushing the release date back and you never hear anything why. So I really appreciate that aspect. And I appreciate the fact that they care about the gamers and they're saying, hey, we're not ready. This is our fault. Yeah, I like that when people own their mistakes or, just give us a reason. It's much easier to swallow.
Right. It is. It's a lot easier to take it when it's not so kind of gripey, where they just say it for like, oh, we wanted to do this and we want to do that, or no, we actually are pushing it back because there's a new console coming out and we want to start development on that version rather than the one that we're already done with. And that kind of happened with the past generation on a few of the cross-platform titles. But what I'm curious about is if it had anything to do with the backlash they were getting on only having one of the games on physical media and then having the other two on download. Because there was a lot of people were upset about that they were you only get one game on the disc and then the other two, similar to what the Nintendo Switch has done with a lot of their
like Mega Man X collection.
The first 4 games are physical, that's on a cartridge. The other 4 are on digital and you have to download all of them, or you download the second collection, I guess. So it's kind of 1-in-1.
Yep.
But what Spyro is doing is that they're doing the first one is going to be physical. The other two are going to be downloaded. And a lot of people weren't happy about that. They want to have the disc. They want to have the physical. This is the thing, but they only got one thing. And then the other ones they have to download just to play them.
And I can understand that because actually, you know, both of us being in the industry of selling video games as well, a lot of people don't like that you have to connect to the internet still. And it's very, very surprising to me, especially in this day and age where everybody is on their cell phones and you're checking YouTube, you're checking Twitter, you're checking Facebook, you're checking all these different sites, right? And you're constantly online, but people still have an issue with wanting to connect their game consoles online. Something about that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that is definitely something I see day in and day out in the job.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just a piece of stubbornness with them where they don't want to be a part of, you know, the online community, or they don't want to be a part of the online spree of, you know, jumping onto Xbox Live or PSN or, you know, the Nintendo Network and being on that. I don't know what that is, because like you were saying,
I could understand if they didn't want to pay for the subscription to those memberships. That I get, you know.
Right, but the free parts of it where you're just connected. I mean, you don't have to pay anything to download a game.
Right.
I mean, you're paying for your internet, of course, but you don't have to pay Microsoft an extra $1 to be able to just download the game. You're paying for the game, and then you're using your internet services to be able to download that. And people don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that I can't sell it. That's my only problem with it, is that when I'm finished with something, if it's a story-based game that I know I'm only going to play once, I will not download it. If it's something that I'm going to play over and over again, or if it's something that is tried and true and I've played it in the past, or that I want the collector's edition of, then I know I'm going to get I might end up getting the digital download for it, depending on.
And I'm one of those fools that since I am a collector, I typically buy the digital and then I buy the physical as well. That way I don't have to open the physical. So I am that guy. I'm part of the problem.
Be a part of the solution, not the problem. Don't be a Josh. Or do. That's great, man.
So I guess moving on to one of the other things here. One thing that very exciting, we finally have a release date for Dark Souls on the Switch, which is great, is October 19th. And we get the release date for that amiibo as well. Of course, I got to drop my amiibo plug in there every episode that I can, right? So we get Solaire on October 19th, as well as Dark Souls for the Switch. Still excited for that. Still picking that one up. One thing that was actually really, really exciting for me, Brian, was seeing that the Xbox Elite controller, we're going to get a new edition.
We're getting updated, man.
Yeah, so we're going to be getting a new Xbox Elite controller in October, which it's only 2 months away. And as of right now, the only thing that's officially been said is that we're doing a new controller, but we don't know anything on that.
There will be 18 paddles, all of them different colors, most of them kind of chartreusey, but we're still excited.
Yeah. But knowing what's coming out with that or what they're going to update is kind of, I'm not entirely sure. One thing that I hope myself to see is that it's not as heavy as the first generation. The first one I felt was pretty heavy, and not overly, but it was still something that I noticed.
Grip, everything on it was so nice. They had it was what I wanted out of an Elite controller. If you're going to spend $150 on one of those things, it needs to be more. It needs to, it needs to be a little more bulky. It needs to be something heavier. And to get the kind of connections that were out of it, it needed to have that extra hardware on the inside, let alone the 4 paddles on the back, being able to switch from one profile to another, all the cool stuff on there. I don't know how they're going to top it, but they've found some other way to dig into my pocket, and goodness knows it's going to happen.
Well, I think one of the things that with the Elite controller, one thing that would make it much more sellable for me, and I think it would be sellable for a lot of other people too, is being able to change the colors. I mean, we have that option already to make our custom controllers on the Xbox site.
But then we look at the new SCUF controller for PlayStation 4, and they have, changeable shell. You just pop off the old one and pop on the new one. And
that would be very cool.
New colors.
Yeah.
I'd like to see different buttons, like ones where you can get that faded cool, that charcoal look that they have on like the gray and green controller. Have you seen that?
Yep.
Oh, those are cool. I like that. I'd like that. I'd like to be able to give like different colors to mine. I don't have to be stuck to the green, red, yellow, and blue that is normally on a stock controller.
I think when you start looking at being able to customize a controller, that makes it a lot more sellable. I know that there's a lot of people that actually customize controllers online, and that's their whole business. They'll do their dips and their paints and you know, putting your name on it or whatever
or your
logo,
favorite IP or your favorite game.
So
you know.
there's definitely a market for that, and so if Xbox could tap into that, I think that would be something great for them.
Yeah, absolutely. If it became a Microsoft, you know, a Microsoft function to be able to put on a Borderlands skin onto your, you know, your new Elite controller, that would go over very well with a community like, you know, like the Microsoft community that's so into their games. And you can see that you go into the Xbox, what is it called? The clubs? Was it clubs? Anyway, something along those lines where you can go on and you read posts and posts and posts from people talking about the game that they're playing right now. And all you do is just click on that game. And it's thousands of people who are still talking about it on this platform that is only on the Xbox One. So Microsoft, get different faceplates, get different buttons, triggers, different trigger lengths, different something. I don't know. There's some options.
It'll be interesting to see what comes about with that one. And obviously we'll update you as soon as we hear about it. So you can definitely make sure to check in with us here. We'll always be up to date.
Plug.
One of the next things is kind of coming up with the games that are going to be coming up in September here. So we're already, I mean, towards the end of August already, Brian. When you said that we're almost in September, I didn't realize that we're like a week and a half away from that. That is right around the corner.
It's a lot closer than it looks like on paper too, because I mean it's 2 weeks out, but really there's a lot of stuff that's coming out between then and now as well. But as far as September releases go, are there any big games that you were excited for now coming out in the first couple of weeks there?
So I would have to say the one that I'm most excited for is going to be Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's one that I'm very, very excited for. I also have the Spider-Man pre-ordered as well. So for the PS4, which finally PS4 has got something on the radar, something to talk about here. And that is definitely being just pushed all over online. Good. Everybody is so excited for that game. So that one's right around the corner. Those would be the two big ones for me that I plan on picking up that we'll definitely do some coverage on. So.
Awesome. Spider-Man. And then Destiny 2 Forsaken. Destiny 2 Forsaken is coming out. The death of Cade 6. And I know you haven't really gotten into that series at all, but Cade 6 being dead was a big pull for people to come back to the series, even the folks who weren't too crazy about the game when it launched. I think that this will revitalize the people who were kind of skeptical. You get his weapons, which is kind of sad, but also kind of cool. You get Cade 6 weapons with your pre-order and all that jazz. So that'll be nice. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to what kind of changes they'll be able to make to it.
I listened to Game Informer's podcast here about Destiny 2, the Forsaken, the one that's coming out here. And they really, really talked very highly of this game. Are they paid to do that? Probably. But still, nonetheless, when I listened to them, I actually kind of got excited and was like, maybe I really should give this a playthrough. So I've heard good things. I have a lot of friends that are actually playing that and love the second one as well. The first one kind of lost me just the way that the story was, and I didn't really want to pick up the second one and go into that. But I've heard nothing but great things, so it'll be fun to see what people think of this downloadable content. And then you had also mentioned that the new FIFA will be coming out here in next month as well.
Yep, so that's coming out here pretty quick. I'm not crazy on a lot of sports games, but I also married a woman from Argentina, so I was brought into FIFA very forcibly. But if there's anything that that sports games could use right now is a decent title. Madden has been getting terrible reviews. We're talking like 1 out of 10 and 2 out of 10. I think the highest I saw was a 4 out of 10 stars.
Wow.
Very, very low reviews. Nobody is digging on it. They changed their engine back in 2016 and have yet to be able to utilize it, or their physics engine specifically. Graphically, I'm not sure if they had changed it anytime recently like that, but their physics engine they changed back in 2016, and their AI in this new one is terrible. You can see after the bike. There you go.
After the bike.
I don't know what football is. I think there are bikes. I don't know what it is. No, after the ball is hiked back to you. After the ball is hiked back to you, there's a moment where if you just stand there, you can see AI doing this number all around you, but they don't actually go towards the quarterback, and it's silly, and there's a lot of problems with the game, and
but that'll probably be a patch later, right?
It'll be sure, just like the Master Chief Collection was supposed to be a patch. It's been 5 years, guys. Get it together. I just want to be the Master Chief again.
All right. Well, Brian, any other big takeaways from this week in gaming? Anything else you can think of?
The last thing that I thought we could talk about a tiny bit is the new Yu-Gi-Oh sets coming out. I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh again. I talked to my local card shop and game shop here, and got back into it. Got my Cyber Dragons all polished up. But there's the Mega Tins for this summer are coming out on the 28th, I believe. That is the Yu-Gi-Moto and the Yusei box, the tin. So it's going to be a bunch of mega packs in there, and there's some really, really good pulls. So make sure you check out the card list for that. I'm kind of excited. I got one.
There you go. Right on. Well, guys, I think that's everything that we got for you today. We just wanted to do a quick episode and just kind of talk about a few of the things that we caught this week, because there was a lot that came out here. So as always, remember, keep the magic in those thumbs.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for checking us out today. If you liked our content, please remember to click on that subscribe button. New episodes come out every Monday, so be sure to hit that bell and get those notifications. Thanks for following the Wizard Gamers, and we'll see you next week. Remember, keep the magic in those thumbs.